Welcome in, my friends, to the end of September. It is Monday the 30th, and I want to talk to you today about quarter four. We've talked about it before on the show, and it's come up, obviously we've been doing this for 2 years, so it's already come up again, second time around here. But here's the deal. When it comes to Q4, I think a lot of people need to understand that that's when they hope to really, get into the black, if you will. But realistically, you should have been focused on that in the first three quarters. Now, in our industry, I realize things have been a bit sluggish at times. Quarters 1 and 2 weren't great. Q3 looked like it was coming together pretty nicely. A little bit of drop off here recently in September. Again, not for everyone, right? But some of the people we're talking with day in and day out are certainly up against it. My question to you is, what is your plan for Q4? And do you have it now, or do you develop it in the quarter? And are you looking at your data quarter over quarter and yearly quarters over yearly quarters? See, one of the biggest things that I like to do is I like to plot out fourth quarter by looking at the previous 2 years. And if I've got 3 years, then I like that too. I'll look at those 3 years. I'll stack all the data together. We call it carb data stacking. Within that, you can identify trends pretty easily if you're able to get all of the data sort of in your face. And the reason I like to do that is because I can quickly identify where there have been fall-offs against previous years, as well as basically sort of see into the future, right? With varying degrees, 10% loss or gain, however you want to view that. Put it out there and say, okay, last year we did X number of visits to the website or to the showroom or test drives, whatever the numbers are. As long as it's data, it can be extrapolated. And if you're looking at it quarterly over quarterly, is probably the best way to gauge it, especially if you're in an area like we are here in the Midwest that has seasonality, right? Doing a month-over-month comparison is fine. It's not going to tell us the whole story. The previous year will. So when you look at your quarter four, what have you done, right? That's what I want to ask you. What have you done? In quarter four, what have you done that's going to be different than last year's quarter four? One of the biggest things that I'm talking with my clients about from about mid-year this year, and I'll be preaching it pretty much as we move forward, is there's a real value to be had if you stop looking at spending more ad dollars and start investing in your people. And that means training. It means spiffs. Shit, I was at a store the other day that said they don't even give out spiffs. Now, what happened to that? Wasn't that some of the most fun? I'd walk in. You guys have seen it on the show before, right? Yeah, here it is. Got anything in it? Right? Oh, it's empty. Full of $100 bills.
It only works for the producer.
Is that right? Producer, does it work? Oh, it's jam, producer. So my point is, with the hundreds, is that when we walked into Chicago on a Saturday morning, we good? What do we got here? We got it going?
It's broken.
Boo, we got a jam. So the 100 gun ain't working. But when you walk into Saturday morning, Chicago sales meeting, be a stack of cash on the table that said, come get it. That's your spiff money. That was exciting times. You got amped up. You got ready to go, right? All these hundreds were stacked up on the table, and they were theirs to earn. If you got a hat trick, here's 1, here's 2, here's 3. Have a nice day, right? Those were the kind of things that were fun, and people weren't doing it. So I find now that the biggest excuse is, well, I spend X on advertising, and I just don't have it in the budget. Well, I can show you throughout data that I have that if you pull back on advertising, nothing really changes. And you take that money, invest it in your people, tons change over on this side of the discussion. So as you get ready for quarter four, don't forget that in quarter four, it's going to be time in November to start planning for 2020 Q1. And in 2020 Q1, you should be focused on people and process. Truly. Cut back in your mind. Look at your advertising budget. Identify the fat. If you don't know where the fat is, hire an expert. Shameless plug for my company, of course. But go out and find someone who can help you dig into your data to help you plan for next year. I'll be on calls pretty much all of November. I'll be on calls with my clients doing 2020 budget planning. And in those conversations, I will be posing to them removing budget, not reallocating, removing budget and moving over to a line item that includes my people and my process. That's what I would like you to do. Let me ask you this kind of last closing question. Here we are with a major shortage in salespeople and technicians. In Q4, that's only going to be exacerbated because if we get busier, our inefficiencies and lack of staffing are going to show through even more. What is your plan? Who do you deal with? You know, Craig Lockhart, the guys over there at Automax, Anthony Santangelo, are you in touch with people like that? Are you working with people to understand where they can bring value to your dealerships, help you get staffed? Got to tell you guys, staffing is a major issue in our industry, and I think there's a lot of different variables for it, but it's only going to get worse in Q4. So keep it in the back of your minds for next year. As always, thank you so much for joining in. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Anywhere you can listen to podcasts, you will hear this show. I do appreciate you tuning in as always. Next week on the show, I'm going to be talking about what it means to build a brand because I still have no idea. Thank you so much. Have a great week.